Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the first part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation Part 1, My Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 1, Quirk of the Soul. It was meant to be a simple rescue exercise for Class 1A. A rescues exercise at the USJ, that's Unforeseen Simulation Joint, not Universal Studios Japan. However, a bunch of villains showed up thanks to a warp. Aizawa aka Eraserhead went to fight the villain while 13 tried to evacuate the students. Most of the villains went to fight Aizawa, however 4 of them just watched. Amorphous Black Cloud, a strange bird-like creature, a man whose costume consisted of many fake hand covering and a woman with white hair wearing a black kimono and cyan hakama. So All Might isn't here. I wonder if it has to do with the news, said the woman. What do you mean? Asked the man covered in hands. Don't you pay attention to the news, Shigaraki? Said the woman. He had quite the busy morning. You could be helping them, muttered the man named Shigaraki. And waste my quirk? She asked. I want the next generation, not him. Besides, it would be far kinder to use my quirk than for you to just kill them. You seem to be on high horse, priestess, muttered Shigaraki. I might be a member of the League of Villains, but a life is still a life, and it's precious, said the woman simple known as priestess. I don't know why I recruited you, said Shigaraki. Because I've taken down so many heroes permanently, said priestess, without a life lost. Your track record isn't perfect, said Shigaraki. Of course not, but no one is perfect, said priestess. You really should enact your plan, said Shigaraki. After all, you are quite the boss. Priestess smirked. As the students evacuated, the cloud warped in front of the door, bringing with him priestess. 13 stood in front of the students. The next generation of heroes. So full of ideals and dreams, said priestess, so unaware of the real world. The cloud looked at priestess with its yellow eyes. Oh come now, Kurogiri, I can't admire them a little, if only for their naivete, said priestess. The loud-named Kurogiri looked towards the students and 13. All Might was supposed to be here today, but I see no sign of him, said Kurogiri. He's probably busy saving old women and kittens from trees, said priestess. It doesn't matter, word might spread to him if we're lucky. Priestess began to clap her hands as if in a prayer. Wait. You're priestess, said 13 in shock. I am, said priestess. After she was done praying, she lifted her right hand and her fingers turned to red light, and fortunately for you. 13 looked at her in shock. Don't let her fingers touch you, yelled Thriven to the students. What? Why? Asked one of the students, a boy named Izuku Midoriya. Oh my, someone asked. Now I'm obligated to have you be one of the ones to experience my quirk, said priestess with a smirk. Her glowing fingers suddenly extended and they were too fast for any of the students to react. One of them piercing Izuku, another piercing a blonde student with a tail named Mashireo Ojiro, yet another piercing a girl with black hair put into a side ponytail named Momo Yayarozu, the fourth piercing a girl with shoulder-length brown hair named Achiko Uraraka, and the last piercing an invisible girl named Toru Hagakure. Did I get 5? Wait, one of them is invisible, interesting, thought the priestess with a smirk. The red glowing fingers retreated back to her hand, returned to normal as all 5 students fell to their knees in shock. You have 30 seconds, Kurogiri, to warp them. After all, there's a 4% chance that any of them will fight back during their feral state, said priestess. However, priestess noticed 2 of the students, Katsuki Bakugo and Ijiro Kirishima, going in or the attack, with Bakugo blowing up priestess right in the face. However, she quickly recovered. I would show you my quirk, but I can't use it for the next 24 hours, said Prior-Tress as she got up from the explosion, also choosing to attack me instead of the amorphous black cloud behind me that is clearly the one with the warp quirk. Wow, clever. Bakugo began to sweat as Kurogiri covered where the students stood in a black dome to scatter them throughout the faculty. However, many students managed to getting warped in one way or another. One of the group that made it was thanks to Tenya Ida, who managed to Ochiko and another student and Rikido Sato. So some of them escaped being scattered, said Kurogiri. And won the ones I used my quirk on, said Priestess. Well, Bomb Boy wasn't one of them, so that's good. Then she saw that one of the ones who escaped was Ochiko. Oh my, it looks like one of my targets was saved from your warp, said Priestess. Will she attack? Asked Kurogiri. Let's see, said Priestess. If I remember, I used my ring finger on her. She lifted up her ring as it began to glow blue. She will fight back, and not one of the 1% that will fight indiscriminately. A shame, because that would have been interesting if we had a new villain on our hands, said Priestess. However, something about her past life is quite interesting. I've been counting and the 30 seconds are up, said Kurogiri. Ochiko who was still in Ida's arms, suddenly jumped up and ran towards the two villains ready with a palm strike. However, Priestess just dodged it. Then another strike. I know you can't hear, but I should say that won't work, said Priestess. Your body maybe have it, but it can't let it out, so sorry about that. She then kneed Ochiko in the chest. One of you needs to restrain her, said 13. She's not in her right mind and she will hurt herself if she continues. I got her, said a student named Hantasiro, who had the tape from his arms wrap around Ochiko, knowing it was about her and not Priestess. Wise choice, said Priestess. My quirk put into a sort of feral state, she was overwhelmed by it that she will attack all foes and protect all friends. And that's what she will do right now, and only that. She knows I am her enemy and she will protect her friends, and jading by what she saw, it will be no matter what. What did you do to her? Demoned Ida. Well, you see, said Pretties. However, before she could explain, there was a loud explosion from the shipwreck zone. You sent one my victims there, said Priestess. I did, confirmed Kurogiri. Oh, I guess I should see who then, said Priestess. It shouldn't take more than a minute. Her thumb began to glow blue. Interesting, two people who could harness a mystical energy, yet lack the body part to do so, said Priestess. I hope her quirk doesn't make up for what she is lacking. In the mountain zone, two students watched as Momo Yayorozu beat down the villains extremely easily, having created two swords with her quirk. I didn't know she could beat them like that, said a boy named Denki Kaminari. There is something very wrong, said a girl named Kyokajiro. What do you mean? Asked Kaminari. Yayorozu, called out Jiro. However, Yayorozu was focused on the fight and nothing else seemed to matter. Oh yeah, she was hit by the weird quirk, said Kaminari. You only just remembered now, said Jiro. Back at the entrance, Priestess' index finger glowed blue. Interesting, said Priestess. In the fire zone, Mashireo Ojiro was all alone fighting the villains, quite easily. He's one of the Priestess victims, isn't he? Asked one of the villains. He is, said another. That was when Ojiro landed on the ground with his index finger hitting the ground, which then shattered on impact. Back at the entrance, they saw another explosion at the shipwreck zone. It's not him, however, said Priestess. His instincts would warn him not to be anywhere near the water. Her pinky began to glow blue. What? Said Priestess after getting the information. In the landslide zone, Shoto Todoroki looked at what was going on with an expression that said, "What the hell am I looking at?" Confetti rained from the sky, music was blaring somewhere, he was wearing a party hat, and not knowing it, and something was taking down the villains left and right. Of course it would make more sense if was able to see his invisible classmate beating down the villains. He decided maybe it was for the best to interrogate one of them to get his mind off what was going on. He grabbed one of the fleeing villains and encased him in ice. You'll explain what's going on now, said Todoroki. "I think this might be Priestess doing," yelled the villain. "Priestess?" asked Todoroki. He watched as a cannon appeared from nowhere and blasted the villains away with confetti. Back at the entrance, Priestess sighed. "Well, that is definitely not the one in the shipwreck zone," said Priestess. There was yet another explosion from the shipwreck zone. That was when something fell from the ceiling. It was a body. It was shark-like villain. It looked like he was beaten, and not only that but burned. "What have you unleashed?" asked Kurogiri. "I don't know," said Priestess. "It's my middle finger." The boy who asked why they should avoid my fingers. "I'd rather no flip myself off, but looks like I have to." Her middle finger glowed blue as she checked her finger. Then she started screaming. Those students and 13 watched her in surprise. Kurogiri looked at her in some concern. He had known her as an acquaintance for quite a while. Twice had she ever been shaken by her quirk, both times she just showed up at his bar and demanded booze now. "I have unleashed a monster. A monster with scruples. Skills beyond anything I have ever seen from a world with powers too, but he didn't have any of those powers. He trained for everything is skills. I have unleashed a monster. The feral state slightly alters the body for skills such as his. His legs are going to be the world's most dangerous weapon. I have unleashed a monster. I am not exaggerating. They called them the Monster Trio. And he was the weakest of the three. I have unleashed a monster. I have unleashed monster. I have unleashed a monster. I have unleashed a monster. And he will remain a hero," she ranted. In the shipwreck zone, 2 students watched in shock as Izuku practically flew and swam around the ship, kicking the villains out the water with powerful explosions. Back at the entrance, Priestess continued her rant. "Black Leg, or whatever he call himself in this life, will stand beside All Might at the top. Villains will know the pain of his kicks. I have unleashed a monster. I have unleashed a monster." She continued to rant as she broke into a mad laughter. Priestess, real name unknown. Quirk, soul revelation. With each of her fingers on her right hand, she can make someone regain the memories of their most recent past life. However, once she does it, she is unable to use that particular finger for 24 hours. Not only that, but during the 24 hours she can check the memories herself. And indeed, Izuku Midoriya had remembered his past life as the infamous pirate Black Leg Sanji, one of the strongest pirates to ever sail the Grand Line. And with these memories and skills, he would one day become the world's greatest hero. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 2. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.